we were talking about the gay thing. Charles Barkley actually said something that, upset a lot of people. He said that the black community treats the LGBTQ community the worst.
I think that when people make these broad sweeping statements, we're not a monolith. We're 43 million people.
Yeah.
And not one person can epitomize all our conversations. And so I hate when people, but I do think I think the gayest place on the face of the earth is the black church. And it's one of the most repressive. Because I think all the dudes there is kids that used to got to go with their kids, dudes that used to got to go with their wives, and men that are trying to pray the love of dick out of their heart. They're like, I'm already on my knees, so like I just think it's the gayest place on the face of the earth, and it's ridiculous to act and pretend like we don't know that these things exist, and that. They're not prevalent, or not even prevalent, but they're not even, they're indelible in our society. They happen. So I think more and more, I know that I love my child, and my nephew, and my other family members who are gay as much as I do everyone, as much as I do any other. But I can't say that is a place I started at. It's a place I arrived at.
So for example, Van Lathan, who I just had on the show, he did an interview with Billy Porter. He said, hey, what do you think about some rappers like Boosie who make homophobic comments and everything? And this guy said with a total straight face, he said, listen, when I started listening to hip hop, it was fuck the police and it was death to gays. And at that point, I stopped listening to hip hop altogether. And I have not listened to any rap in 30 years. So I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, wow, that's impressive. He made a very interesting point about how he doesn't listen to hip hop.
Yeah.
Because early on, in early hip hop, there was a lot of anti-gay rhetoric in there. And he said, I'm completely separating myself from that.
Right.
And he went on to be a brilliant artist who wins. He's got Tonys.
He got the Tony, he got the Emmy.
Got an Emmy.
Yeah.
He's obviously phenomenal at what he did and what he does. And by him saying that on your show, by saying he doesn't know anything about hip hop because of the stances of certain rappers, certain popular rappers, I'm like, that's dope. Like I wish I was better at that, to just separating myself from some of the fuck shit that people say about me and so forth.
And it's crazy because I didn't think that it was possible. I didn't know that you could be black and not be hip hop. I used to get mad about that. Like I didn't know that you could do that.
Like, I actually kind of to completely block out
shit you don't want to hear. That's
shit
not
that you don't want to hear.
You know what? I was on a plane one time.
Okay.
And I'll never forget this. She said, we're serving dinner. I said, I don't want dinner. I want dessert. She said, I said, I don't want dinner, but I'll take the dessert. She said, you can't have dinner without dessert.
You can't have dessert without dinner.
You can't have dessert without dinner. I'm like, I'm fucking grown. Yeah, I can. Because when you're grown, you can make your world the way you want it to the best of your ability. It's food. That's almost like wearing tight shoes so you feel good when you take them off. Why do I want to hear something I don't want to hear? Why do I want to see something I don't want to see? Why do I want to taste something I don't want to taste?
It's hard to avoid it sometimes. It
isn't. I never heard Rush Limbaugh say anything till somebody told me he said it. I never saw Sean Hannity say anything. Even right now, I don't see Kanye saying anything until somebody shows me what he said.
Okay.
Because I can be the arbiter of the things I let into my world. And sometimes, obviously, they break through because social media and I'm in this business.
That's what I'm saying.
But to
being
the best
in the
of my
business, being in the entertainment business, things break through. I'll just check my comments real quick. And, you see a bunch of fuck shit.
I can always tell, I never read my comments. Okay. Never.
Yeah. I do sometimes.
As many times as we had these conversations, you always have to tell me what they say.
Sometimes.
You always say, hey, they said that, cause
sometimes no.
But I don't make it a practice because it's not worth it to me. It's not worth. I'm never gonna be as good as I think I am, or as bad as they say I am. So it's not worth it to me. So I can understand how he would say this. I'm already in I feel like an outsider. I don't need anything. Music is supposed to make me feel, supposed to transport me, make me feel a different way. Why would I listen to a music that failed to me in that endeavor?